Yo, what's going on, man? Today is April the 4th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA Show. We're live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. We got I think it's a 6-game slate, 6-game slate for today. So we'll jump right into it. But first, I want to just let people know that the channel is growing, the community is growing on a daily basis. And if you guys are checking this out on YouTube, definitely go give me a follow on Twitter or X at ChrisBeCappinn, 2 P's, 2 N's. You can see it on the graphic. And then vice versa. If you guys are tapping in from Twitter or X, definitely check me out on YouTube as well at ChrisBeCappinn, 2 P's and 2 N's. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. If you want access to my official plays when I do make them, they are listed in the description. Shout out to all the members that's always here, sharing plays, kind of helping me live cap the card for today. I got some time today, so not to say that it's going to be a super long show, but if you guys got questions, we can take a deep dive into them. I've made 2 official plays already, kind of going through, doing some secondary work at this point and seeing if there's anything else that I like. But I love the slate for today. I think we got some good basketball, whether you're betting or not. So let's jump into it for today, man. Real quick recap. We're coming off a slightly profitable day. 2-1 yesterday. We had the Lakers and Wizards. Lakers on the road, been a cash cow to the over. So that was a winner. And then we had Portland on the money line. Smaller play, but that was also a winner yesterday. Shout out to Scoot Henderson coming in and doing his thing against Brandon Miller yesterday in Charlotte. That was a winner. And then the Pelicans, I'm kind of worried about them. This team is slowly but surely slipping into the play-in, man. It was, man, I think, let's just say I think that Orlando matches up really, really well with New Orleans, especially if they don't have Brandon Ingram. Let's just put it like that. I think that's the best way to put it. But Pels ended up getting smoked yesterday. They did win that first quarter. Remember we said the line was 1.5, but after that it was all Orlando in that game. So that puts us up about a half unit for yesterday. Like I said, 2-1 brings us back over 36 units for the season. Before we jump into it for today, I know we also had a friendly wager, so I want to see what the comments are saying. Meek says just can't sleep on the Magic. I knew they were going to win. I did think that they would drop that game yesterday just because they've been playing that softer schedule. But you're right, Meek. You're absolutely right. Tasha says she's glad she stayed off. Without Brandon Ingram, they look like a shell of themselves offensively, and it's the reason why I had kind of been staying off of them. But it is what it is. Tasha says, greeting everyone. Chris sneaking at work. But I took Atlanta Hawks team total over 108.5 and Miami minus the 2 plus the over 209.5. We're gonna get into those games, Tasha. I'm interested to see to kind of share my thoughts on those. DMP says Boston for the cash. Yeah, at this point, man, it kind of feels criminal not to bet Boston first quarter, first half, every single game. They just been so profitable. I was kicking myself for not doing the same thing yesterday. Prolific says, good morning, Chris. Bron and AD are behaving. They cashed this again. Yeah, they're over, man. They're not playing much defense as I kind of expected, Prolific, but their games are flying over the total for sure. Hey, what up to my guy Justin? He says, "Oh God, I won't bet the Pelicans for the rest of the year." Yeah, they let a lot of people down yesterday, Justin. It was a great spot for them too. So that game says a lot about them. And if you guys are keeping pace with the standings, that loss last night for the Pelicans, in conjunction with the win for the Phoenix Suns, really shook up the Western Conference a little bit, because now you got Phoenix, who's won 2 straight games. And you got a Pelicans team that's lost 3 straight games, so they actually jumped the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns jumped the Pelicans last night. So now Phoenix is no longer in the play-in because they took care of business against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the Pelicans, 3 straight losses, find themselves in the play-in situation right now. If the season ended today, they would have to play Sacramento. So they desperately need Brandon Ingram back. And it's crazy because Sacramento, I think, needs Malik Monk back as well, even though they were able to get a win. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. What's up, Fox 5? Appreciate you for tapping in. JFX says, top of the morning, Chris. Small slate today. Let's cash it. Absolutely. Justin says, so who won the Queen's Challenge? The Queen's Challenge winner would be Erica. She was on Washington plus the points yesterday. and they did come through. So I'm not sure if she's gonna pop in today, but she did DM me like me and Tasha was on the same team and was like, Chris, I need my cash. And I was like, no, I didn't have anything to do with that. Like I didn't even set that up. That was a side bet y'all did in the chat, man. What up, BJ? What up, Kenneth? What else we seeing in the chat? Tasha says, I told y'all Boston first half. That's smashed and full game. And the Suns under 226. You called it, Tasha. And I stayed off of both. What else? You get right. The bag like magic. What's up, Garrison? Top of the morning, the PZ. Justin likes the Warriors -3.5 is his only bet today. What up, Jared? Free Sauce, Glenn, Nando. Profitable day yesterday. Let's eat today. Free Sauce says. Tez VFX says 76ers money line. And B, Maxey both back to play the Heat. DJ Prop says, Chris, you helped me cash a +900 parlay with the Lakers yesterday. $100 to $1,000. Appreciate you as always. Yeah, I saw you cash yesterday, Prop. I'm glad you cashed, my brother. Absolutely glad you cashed that. That's what we do the show for. PZ says, Pelicans first half screwed me as well. Yeah. Jared says, good call on the Pelicans money line, man. Glad we cashed that. Yeah, it was ugly. And Brandon Miller had a chance to. I hate even watching games like that. Brandon Miller had a chance to send it to overtime, though. But yeah, he did miss. So yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it however we get it last night. Glenn says, I was with the Nets last night. They did get a win outright. Told y'all I couldn't trust the Pacers on the second leg after a win. I only want the Pacers after they lose. Free Sauce, I told y'all about the Bucks, man. Trust the numbers. 1780 Guap says, I knew the Pelicans would lose even with a Suns win. Pelicans and Kings wouldn't drop. Kings still trying to play host just as the Lakers not covering, just winning. They trying to host as well. Yeah, I'm there with that. Burns says, I was at the Laker game last night. They weren't trying to cover. Like I figured. Glad I didn't bet it. Yeah, I just found it real hard to trust the Lakers on the road covering a big number. So that's why I stayed off of it yesterday. What else y'all saying in the chat before we get to the games today? Did I miss some comments? Let's see. Marquis says Zion needs more moves and the jump shots. Besides that, Giannis going to the hole, driving all the time. He's strong, but not tall enough at times. I agree. He can only go left. I absolutely agree. It's hard to stop him, but he only goes left. What's up, Eric, Jose? All right, let's jump into the card. Mayne says Luka dropped 70 on him last time. We're gonna get into that game in a second. Bucks with another disgusting loss. Yeah, and man, you got Coach Glenn Doc Rivers just pointing the finger at the bus drivers. I don't know if y'all got a chance to watch the interview. Man, let's jump into it for today. So the Pelicans are not in the 6th spot anymore. 1780 go up. They're now in the 7th spot because Phoenix owns a tiebreaker, even though they both have the same record. So yeah, that's that. What up to my guy Malik? BJ, top of the morning, you as well. Tasha says, on your 5 p.m. show, I say not the Lakers 13 to cover, only to win. Check that. Oh, okay. I thought it was the +13. Nando says, Chris, Lakers make the clock ran out with 96 seconds left remaining and 3 turnovers. Yeah, they weren't trying to cover last night. All right, let's jump into it for today, man. Let's get into it for today. So first game up, we have, and let me get this comment off the screen. First game up, we got the Atlanta Hawks. They will be in Dallas today, getting 11.5 points as road dogs. Of course, you know the line makers won't go make this a favorable line for the Dallas Mavericks. When I looked at it last night, it was 11.5. And when I looked at it last night, it was 11. So money coming in on the Dallas Mavericks to smoke the Atlanta Hawks. This actually went up. It's actually at 12 on DraftKings as well. But the total's coming down. It opened at 231.5. And it's coming down now. I see it down to 229.5. And I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I want to take the under. I want to take the Hawks team total under. But I don't know if I'm gonna get there. So let's jump into it. So Atlanta, second leg of a back-to-back, of course. It's a road home back-to-back as well. Of course, they they smoked. So I talked about Atlanta team total over yesterday on the show. That was actually my favorite lean that I didn't play. And the reason I didn't play it is because Detroit kept playing the injury game with the Cade Cunningham. He was listed as questionable. They said he was going to play a couple minutes for the game. He's not going to play. But shout out to Malachi Flynn, who went out and dropped 50 yesterday because Atlanta still needed to score. And they did cash their team total over. But that was based on a Detroit defense that's been subpar. Dallas defense has not been subpar. So I think everybody you can wait on Atlanta, injury report. Remember, Atlanta still needs to win games. They down there at the bottom of the play-in tournament with the Bulls for the East in the Eastern Conference. So for Dallas, Lively is listed as questionable, and that's one of the reasons that kind of scared me off the under. You get a Dallas Mavericks team that's off 1 day's rest. It's their first game back home after a 5-game homestand. And first leg of a back-to-back, they got a revenge spot against the Golden State Warriors tomorrow. Of course, they just lost that game 2 nights ago. Dallas is 4-2 straight up and against the spread as a home favorite since the All-Star break. And return at home, they typically play well, even off these little road trips as well. So from a head-to-head perspective, remember what happened. Somebody said it in the chat already. Dallas beat Atlanta as 2-point dogs back on January the 26th in Atlanta. That game was 148 to 143. It went over the 245.5 points very, very easily. Luka had 73. No Kyrie, of course. Trae Young actually had 30 points and 11 assists. And, of course, his services will probably be missed in today's game. So looking at Dallas, the reason why I'm not as quick to jump on the over, you get inflated totals with the Dallas Mavericks. Very symbolic of the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion. The Phoenix Suns have a 3-headed monster as far as scoring. And then, you get these inflated totals. If you check the numbers, Phoenix typically goes under on the road because people are scared to bet the under. The Dallas Mavericks have been very symbolic of that. You look at the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie, Luka, PJ Washington, Tim Hardaway Jr., they shoot a ton of threes. Dallas is actually 5-1 to the under after the All-Star break as a home favorite. They're not scoring 125 points in these games. They're also 3-0 to the under in their last 3 in this spot as a home favorite after the All-Star break. They're also 4-2 to the under when they're laying double digits as home favorites, including 4 straight unders. So all of this, when I was looking into the game yesterday, the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, landing on the second leg of a back-to-back, I'll just jump on it on Dallas team total to go over. It'll be a fast-paced game. Atlanta shoots a ton of threes. Dallas will have to score. The numbers don't necessarily say that, though. But the reason why I didn't take it is because both of these teams are playing with pace. So Atlanta, the thing I wanted to look at was how do they do when they're playing arrested this season? They're 6-8 straight up, 5-8 against the spread when they're playing arrested this season. So not the greatest trends, but they also they can hang in these games. I also checked it without Trae Young as well, because that was something I wanted to look at. I think he means enough. So without Trae Young, on the road, the Hawks are 6-9 straight up, 6-9 against the spread, losing by an average of 6 points per game. They beat the Bulls in this spot. They lost to the Suns, lost to the Lakers, beat the Clippers, lost to the Jazz, lost to the Trailblazers. Didn't cover any of those games. So if they win, they cover. If they don't, they don't. And it's only been one time that the Hawks have been on the road, second leg of a back-to-back, no Trae Young, and they got smoked. They lost to the Lakers 105 to 136. And that game did go over. Lakers scored 136 points. So here are my overall thoughts for the game. And I looked at it from an X's and O's perspective as well. Atlanta is the second best offensive team over the last 2 weeks. One of the reasons why I like their team total to go over yesterday. But now they're at the rest disadvantage, which hasn't hurt them too much this season. I just kind of gave you guys those numbers. But they're playing against the number 3 rated defensive team over the last 2 weeks. Dallas has been locked in. Dallas has been top 10 in all the major defensive categories. I always talk about, points allowed, net rating, offensive rebounds allowed, opponent effective field goal percentage. They're top 10 in all of those categories. And they're plus 13.2 in net rating over the last 2 weeks. Dallas has been winning. They've been covering. They've been scoring, and they've been defending. Atlanta, from a shots perspective, they've taken a lot of shots from the corner 3. Corner and above the break 3, which is why I liked them in the matchup yesterday. They're 4th and 7th in frequency in the last 2 weeks in those 2 shot zones. And they're hitting too. They're 8th and 4th in accuracy in those above the break 3 and corner 3 over the last 2 weeks. They're shooting the 8th most threes overall and at the 3rd highest percentage. This is the Atlanta Hawks. Dallas defense has been excellent against the 3-point line. They rank 12th in opponent overall 3-point accuracy. it's conflicted for me though, like I said, and this is what I had in my notes. Conflicted on the Mavs team total over. I know I don't want to play the spread in this one. Could the Mavs come out here and absolutely smash the Hawks? They could. Could the Hawks potentially keep it close because the Mavs are laying a couple too many points? I think that could happen as well. So I'm conflicted on the Mavs team total over or Atlanta team total to go under based on the pace of the game. The Mavs have been playing slower and better defense. They're only averaging 115 points in the last 6 games, and they're only allowing 102 points in their last 6 games. But both teams are top 11 in pace over the last 5 games. So the question is, does the Atlanta Tire leg show up here in the back because they're on the back-to-back? I didn't play the game. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the game. Let's go to the comments real quick and see what you guys are saying. Chris, best play, take the Kings with the points. Free Sauce says. Josh Hart being questionable. Van says, bro, is Milwaukee low-key jockeying for position? That back-to-back losses from the seems weird. Giannis is checked out. Well, I'll say this. Coach Rivers said that he probably should have pulled Giannis in the third quarter because he didn't look like himself. Like, I think he's dealing with a little bit of, some injury. So they actually might shut Giannis down. I could potentially see that happening. And it doesn't help any that Dame's missed the last 2 games as well. David says 2 years ago today, I had open heart surgery. Vibes are high. Oh man, David, that's awesome, dude. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, shout out to you. Happy anniversary from that, for being able to make it through that, man. Free Sauce still talking about Josh Hart. He says their backbone. What else? Malik says that's all Doc do, deflect. When he signed with the Bucks, first thing he said was, "I wouldn't wish this on anyone." Y'all remember what JJ said? Yeah, why you take the job then, Glenn? All right, what else y'all saying? Richard says, "Good morning, Chris. Suns got it." Yeah, they definitely cash. What else? This is Erica. She's freedom fighter today. She says, "This Erica, we bet on the morning show, so I can't get paid." I gotta go back and check that. I feel like on the morning show, Tasha says she was in. Didn't Erica say 50 and Tasha said 100? She wanted to donate it to breast cancer awareness. I got to go back and check that. BJ says he's off this game. Justin says going to look at Luka triple-double here. Tasha says Atlanta team total over the 108. Jared says Lively is out. I didn't see Lively as listed out. Let me double check that real quick. Did Lively get ruled out already? Without Lively, I don't like the defense as much. I kind of feel like, I know Daniel Gafford's a really good defender, but outside of him, I don't think they got too much paint protection. And I missed it. Yeah, Derek Lively is out. He is out. Shout out to you, Jared, for mentioning this. Could be out for up to 2 weeks. Hey, I missed that yesterday. Okay. BJ says I like Dallas on the road as faves, not as much as large home favorites. I agree with this comment. Ted says Kyrie Irving over 25.5 has covered last 5 games against the Hawks. Nanos likes the Hawks plus the 11. Free Sauce says if you're scared, take Luka triple-double at plus 210. Kyrie over 25.5 points, covered last 5 of 5 against the Hawks. Ted says that as well. Kenneth likes Luka rebounds over 9.5. Okim says, I know Mavs been trending to the under, but this game feels like an over. And that's what I kind of thought, but the total's dropping. Open at 231.5. It's now down to 229. So you guys got to check it out. It was actually down to 228. So a lot of money coming in on the under. This total's dropped 3 points since we started doing the show. Yeah, it's definitely dropped. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else? Nando says Mavs first half. He likes them to come out early. And the Hawks plus 11. Mavs got to save energy for that next game against the Golden State Warriors tomorrow, he says. Glenn says Mavs in the under 228. JFX says, I don't know the odds, but Mavs first half sounds like a lock. Full game, they usually fall off. Okay. Vucci says Dallas just lost to the Warriors. They won't cover tonight. Let's see. What else? Check the 5 p.m. show, Tasha says, where I say not on the 13. I'll go back and check it. Tasha. 1780 Guap says, if not Luca triple double, I think he should go to the hole this season. Record of 39-8 last game. He tied MJ, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And what else we got? Let's see. All right, looks like that's it for the first game. Don't sound like you guys are too interested, honestly. And it's a difficult game. I do think it's a very, very difficult game. Let's go to the next game, which I think is also a difficult game to bet because you got a lot of injury news here. You got, first and foremost, we got Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. You got the Heat laying 3 points. This line was at 2.5 last night. Total opened at 210.5. It's down to 210. And a little bit of money coming in on Miami, of course, to move this to 3. However, I kind of feel like maybe people think that Embiid's not going to play or Maxey isn't going to play, but Embiid, Maxey, and Tobias Harris are all listed as questionable in this game. That makes this game extremely hard to bet. Does Philly play those guys? I'm not 100% sure. But when you got 3 starters on the injury report and all listed as questionable, especially with Maxey not playing in the last 2 games now, I'm not sure. It's left hip soreness for Maxey. Of course, Embiid just came back, so may not want to play him in this spot. And like I said, Tobias Harris also listed as questionable. That makes this game extremely difficult to bet. His left knee, he hyperextended his left knee. And on the Miami side, they'll have full squad outside of Tyler Hero. And of course, Josh Richardson is done for the season. So Philly, 1 day's rest, coming off a 4-point win, is a 2.5-point favorite against OKC. They are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games, including 4-0 against the spread in their last 4, and 6-1 against the spread in their last 7. So Philly has been playing really good basketball. Typically starts on the defensive end. And you look at Miami, second straight home game, first leg of a back-to-back. They got Houston tomorrow in Houston. And they've won 3 of their last 4 as well. And they've won 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5. They're coming off that 10-point win against the New York Knicks as a 2.5-point favorite. So Miami, for whatever reason, and I'm not sure, maybe it's Terry Rozier. I know he had a really big game in that last one. Starting to cook. Terry Rozier starting to turn it on when the Miami Heat really need him to. I really don't want to bet against Miami right now, especially with them just laying 3. The Sixers, like I said, also been rolling as well. This isn't a game I'm probably going to bet, even if Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris and Maxey all play. I can kind of see this one going either way. Miami is 2-1 straight up and against the spread in the season in the head-to-head matchup. Philly won the last matchup on March 18th. They beat them 98-91 as a 3-point favorite. And the total, Miami 3-0 to the over in their last 3. Philly 3-1 to the over in their last 4. Miami also 6-1 to the over when they're home favorites with a total that's 215 or lower. So we talk about Miami playing better defense on the road, and that has proved true because as I just told you guys, when they're at home, with a low total of 215 or less, they're 6-1 to the over, especially if they're the home favorites. So I stayed off of this one, but I'll go through the comments and see what you guys are thinking. 1780 Guap says the non-conference games be unpredictable at this point in the season. I agree there. Nando says if Maxey is in, 76ers roll, he like them to roll. Jose says after they lost, he says after they last win, those guys will play. Justin, I could read this. That's funny. Brian says, what's up, Chris? Finally caught a morning show. What up, Brian? Glenn says, I think Embiid playing tonight, 6 plus the 3 and over 209. Frankie says, hey, Chris, what did I miss? Good morning. Let's get this cash. So we just talked about the first game, the Atlanta and Dallas game, and how difficult it is, in my opinion anyway, to pick a side or to pick the total. Joakim says, lean Heat minus the 3 or money line at minus 145. He have always played the Sixers pretty tough, even with Embiid in. Big implications for playoff seeding here. I agree with that. Says I take the better defense. Also, under 210 seems solid. And yeah, I don't want to bet against Miami right now. I don't want to bet against Philly either, but I think if I had to bet it, it would be Miami. And like you said, I'd probably take the money line. I know the Heat don't typically cover at home, but they have been one trend that I had looked at. I didn't even write it down, but when the Heat have been laying a short number at home, they typically do cover. So home favorites and less than 4. If they need to cover by just 4 points or less, the Heat are 11-3 straight up, 10-4 against the spread. They covered against the Knicks, the Cavs, lost to the Pelicans, but covered against the Magic, the Kings. So yeah, this trend says that the Heat as short home favorites typically do cover, and they are 8-6 to the over. Those games averaging about 225 points. So yeah, I agree with this, Joking. It'd be Heat or nothing for me here. But you get a better number if I wouldn't think that Maxey, Embiid, and Tobias Harris are all going to miss this game. So if those guys are rolled in, you get a better number if you wait on the Heat. Van Lee says Joel Embiid is not looking forward to tonight. Bam can front him and hound him. And I agree, especially, just second game back. Embiid turnovers is probably going to be a thing as well. I think he has 6. It's just going to take him a while to get back in the rhythm. So if you can bet Embiid turnovers, I think that's a solid look as well. Jose says Embiid for sure. If he's in for the Sixers. Jared says, I think they all play. Philly, 1.5 games back. Miami behind Miami for the 6th seed. Van says Miami can go balls to the wall tonight. No, no, did he? Houston can have a huge letdown spot tomorrow when Draymond ends their playoff hopes tonight. Brandon says Heat money line is when Heat go into playoff mode during the end of the season. That's a fact, Brandon. I agree with that. Riley says it's 12 midnight here in Australia. Stayed up to catch the show, and I definitely appreciate that, Riley. I hope it's helpful for you. What else? Free Sauce likes Embiid overs 4.5 assists. He says he's still finding his footing with the new 76ers lineup. And that's a good point, Free Sauce. Not the Embiid assist. I couldn't talk you off. But, Embiid, this is his first time playing with some of these guys, right? Think about Kyle Lowry. You think about, I know Kelly Oubre was there, but you also think about Buddy Hill. Don't really like them as much on the road. So I agree with this comment for sure. And BJ says Heat money lines looks too easy. I'll monitor the game throughout the day. Lime seems funny. I don't think it seems funny. Like what would you expect it to be, BJ? Like what if you just look at Sixers Heat in the current state that both teams are in? I'm curious what you think the line should be. I think -3 is about right. But like I said, Philly has been balling. Let's keep going. Next game up, we got Sacramento and we got New York. This is one that I wanted to kind of talk out with you guys a little bit. Well, we can talk it out, but I'm not sure what to do with the game. I think just from a face value perspective, it kind of feels like a Knicks spot. Knicks have lost 3 straight games. You get them at home as a favorite. Sacramento coming off a big win against a conference divisional opponent against the Clippers. It is a revenge spot for Sacramento, though. They did lose, and we'll get into that in a second. But the Knicks need a win. And I think this is the game that not having Malik Monk could really show up for the Knicks, for the Kings. So the Kings will be without Monk and Herter, of course. 1 day's rest. This is the first road game after a 5-game homestand and the first leg of a back-to-back. So you could say the Kings go all out because they're not winning tomorrow. They play Boston tomorrow. Sacramento probably get the doors blown off of them tomorrow against the Boston Celtics. They are 22-14-1 against the spread on the road. The Kings have been one of the more profitable teams on the road. 6-4 straight up, 5-5 against the spread in their last 10. They've won 4 of their last 6 and covered 4 of their last 6 games as well. And we know that they've been doing it with the defense. A little bit more on that in a second. Now on the Knicks side, you got Josh Hart listed as questionable and Mitchell Robinson listed as questionable. I think Mitchell Robinson did miss that last game. Knicks 1 day's rest. First of it's a one-off home game and the first leg of a back-to-back. They got the Chicago Bulls in Chicago tomorrow. And the Knicks have been solid at home. Not solid. They've been outstanding at home. 21-6 straight up. And they're 11-16 against 16-11 against the spread when they're at home. 7-3 straight up in their last 10, 5-5 against the spread as a home favorite. I'm sorry, 7-3 straight up and 5-5 against the spread as home favorites without OG and Julius Randle. I wanted to look into that and see how they were playing because, in my opinion, the Knicks just shoot a ton of threes. And if they're falling, they can cover and win the game. And if they're not, they typically struggle. And that was the reason why they struggled in that last game, is because Miami's defense has been so good against the three-point line as of late. We know that they typically struggle throughout the season, but you go in and look at the last 2 weeks, Miami's defense has been amazing against the three, and the Knicks couldn't make threes at the beginning of that game. So, Miami had a double-digit lead at halftime. Now, Sacramento, a team that has really been struggling to guard the three-point line, also makes me lean towards the Knicks a little bit more in this spot. So from a head-to-head perspective, I mentioned this revenge spot for Sacramento. They lost 98-81 back in New York on March the 16th. They were laying 3 points in that spot in Sacramento. So, and that was like that very physical game that the Knicks just the Kings didn't get any calls in. If you guys remember that one, I remember talking about that game the next day. So let's talk. I want to address the total just to really, really quickly, and then I'll give you guys like a full breakdown on the X's and O's. So I really wanted to get there with the over. The total has dropped. It opened at 216, I think, and 216 and a half, and it's down to 214. I would say that I agree with the movement there, but I'll tell you guys why I didn't play it. So here's the reason why I would play it. Sacramento 8-2 to the under in their last 10 games. Like I said, their offense is kind of taking a huge step back. They're playing at a very, very slow pace. And the last game went under the 217 total that opened as well, went way lower. So now you get a lower total, a lower total. And this is one of those, if you know, under. Shout out to my guy Ski. So since the 2013 season, I just played with the parameters a little bit. Since the 2013 season, when teams are playing within a 3-week time frame, and the first game went under, and the total opens lower in the second game, and it's after the All-Star break, those games are 128, 95, and 12 to the under. That's almost 58%, 57.4%. Also, it's been a winning bet for 7 straight seasons if you just blindly tail the under in those games with two teams playing within a 3-week time frame, with the first game going under and the second game opening with a lower total. The Knicks also 7-3 to the under as home favorites without OG and Julius Randle. The reason why I didn't play the under is because there are some major matchup advantages here on both sides. Sacramento, they've been living at that long mid-range shot, a major advantage for them here. They're third in frequency and 8th in accuracy over the last 2 weeks. So top 10 in both. The Knicks, bottom 5 in both. The Knicks are 26th in opponent frequency, 29th in opponent accuracy from that long mid-range shot over the last 2 weeks. Outside of that, though, I think Sacramento, they don't have many offensive advantages. They're shooting just 51.8% effective field goal percentage, which ranks 26th over the past 2 weeks. They're second in transition frequency, but they're not scoring. 25th in points via the transition bucket per 100 possessions, while the Knicks have been top 6 in both categories over the last 2 weeks. So outside of that shot zone, Sacramento should struggle to score. Now, the Knicks on the opposite side, they're continuing to shoot a ton of threes. We've been talking about this for a while now. Number 1 in frequency and corner 3 frequency, number 11th in corner 3 accuracy. So they have been making the shot over the last 2 weeks. And that's a spot where Sacramento has been extremely vulnerable. Sacramento 26th in opponent corner 3 frequency, 23rd in opponent corner 3 accuracy over the last 2 weeks. They're allowing teams to shoot 42% from the corner 3 specifically. Overall, the Knicks have been jacking in general. They're 7th in all 3 frequency and 9th in accuracy, so they're shooting the ball well from 3. Sacramento defense, 20th in opponent 3 frequency, so they're not keeping teams off the 3-point line. 24th, even worse, in opponent 3-point accuracy. This is why I stayed off the under, because this game can be volatile as far as 3-point shooting is one of the biggest things that'll make a game fly over the total. And if the Knicks start making threes, because the Kings defense is really, really bad, I can see this one potentially going up and over the total, even if it's just by a point. Knicks have been pushing the pace. They're 5th in transition frequency and they're 10th in accuracy, but Sacramento has been the best transition defense in the league. They're limiting teams to the fewest transition opportunities, and they're giving up the third fewest points per possession, per 100 possessions over the last 2 weeks via the transition bucket. So I say all that to say it's no play for me, but it does kind of feel like this one could potentially slide up and over the total. I'm not playing the game, though. You definitely want to wait and see what happens with Josh Hart. The Knicks are one of the better rebounding teams in the league, of course, because of him. Like I said, I think, no Sacramento not having Monk in this game, I think could really, really show itself. So I know that was a lot, but I wanted to kind of share notes with you guys and see what you guys are saying here on this one. Let's go to the top here. Chad says, no, that's not what I was looking for. Joakim says, hit the like button for one of the hardest working NBA cappers on the tube. Appreciate that, Joakim. Van says Sacramento is very professional on the road. No Monk gives more minutes to better guard defenders and Mitchell and Ellis, and I agree with this comment. That should lead towards an under. Nando says Knicks lost their identity. Under and Sacramento +3. Freesaw says Sacramento goes crazy on the road. I took them with the +3.5 in my back pocket, but Jalen Brunson's still going to go off. They got some defenders to throw at Jalen Brunson for sure. Joe Kim says Kings 15, 26, and 2 to the under. I think it's 26, 15, and 2 to the under. You just wrote it backwards. If you say over, then you say 15. If you say under, you say 26 first. After a win and 13, 22, and 2 to the under. So I think that's supposed to be flipped. As an away team, Knicks 22nd in pace, Kings are 26. All these trends point to the under. Official play 216 or 215.5 for Joakim. He likes the under. Let's see. JFX says everyone going to be on the Knicks spread. Kings will probably backdoor cover. It's a pretty short spread. Pretty short spread here. So I don't know about it. It's not like it's a big number to get a backdoor cover. Antonio says, how about the under? I gave out some it's tough, but it depends. It's variance from the 3-point line, in my opinion. But I would lean a little bit more towards the under than the over. It's just not anything that I'm gonna play. BJ says tough game if Sacramento becomes a public dog. I'll bet the Knicks. I don't really think that public stuff means anything. Van says Ellis won't let Jalen Brunson embarrass him again. He will lock in. Josh Hart is the Draymond to Jalen's Steph. If he doesn't play, Knicks lose. This could have some merit for sure. And I definitely agree with that comparison, Josh Hart to Draymond Green. BJ reminding everybody to monitor injury reports. I agree there. Riley says Knicks all day. What else we saying? Freesaw says that Josh Hart questionable is big news. That's a fact. He says Knicks are my team, so I know, but he's our backbone. If he's out, it's going to be a nasty game tonight. I agree. Joe Kim also says Knicks 18, 11, and 1 after a loss. Kings 18 and 24 after a win. Knicks 11 and 19 to the under after a loss, and 12 and 26 at home. Conflicting trends, so difficult to take a side here. I would agree there. Justin says close to betting the Knicks, but haven't moved yet. Riley says stay away from this game. So many stats conflicting. I would agree there. But Knicks off 3 straight losses, man. You got to think that they're going to come with something. So let's see. This season, I didn't look into this. Knicks, let's see if they've lost 3 straight games this season. Knicks are 2-1 straight up and against the spread, coming off a three straight losses this season. Let's look at that as a trend in general. So teams coming off 3 straight losses and they are home favorite. 43 and 18 straight up. That's 70.5%. That's this season. Teams coming off 3 straight losses and they are home favorite. 33 and 28 against the spread. That's 54.1%. And it's been pretty profitable since the end of January. Let's just look at that real quick. $15 and 6 straight up and 15 against the spread, 15 and 6 to the under. So this says Knicks and it says under. This is home favorites coming off 3 straight losses. And I bet you it gets even better if their opponent is coming off a win. Not as much. Let's see if this is a league-wide trend. Let's go back a couple years. Oh. Yeah, it says 55.6% says to back the Knicks here. It also says to take the under, 54% to the under as well. Let me just look at this after the All-Star break. Yeah, 25, 18, and 1 against the spread. I like the Knicks here. I want Josh Hart in, but this trend is strong enough to make me like the Knicks. So I looked at since the 2019 season, teams home favorites coming off 3 straight losses, their opponents coming off a win after the All-Star break. 25, 18, and 1. That's 58% said that the Knicks win and cover tonight. These teams are winning by an average of 5 points on an average line of minus 5.2. It also is 25 and 19 to the under, which is 57% to the under as well. And this has been a strong under. That's 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 and 4, 5, 11 and 5 to the under since May 24th, 2022. So I'm gonna actually write this down. I didn't write this one down. Let me write this down real quick, and then we can keep it. I'll get back to the comments. So home favorites of 3 straight losses after the All-Star break, facing an opponent off a win, are 25, 18 ETS since 2019. All right, cool. I just wanted to jot that down real quick. I do think that Malik Monk's not going to play. I do think Malik Monk not playing definitely impacts the Kings, a little bit more than we probably think. And that was something that I had wrote down that I didn't quite look at. I wanted to look at the Kings real quick. Let me do that too real quick while we live capping this one. I wanted to look at the Kings without Monk on the floor because I feel like we have a bigger sample with him missing the last few games now. So without Malik Monk on the floor, let's go to cleaning the glass. All right. So without Malik Monk on the floor, they still been playing well because they did just smoke the Clippers. They're minus 0.2 in point differential. Offensive is scoring 116 points per 100 possessions. Their defense is giving up 116.7 points per 100 possessions over the course of 272 possessions this season. And this is with Malik Monk. Oh, you know what? Hold on. This is not right. Yeah, disregard everything I just said. I put it in the wrong spot. All right, so Malik Monk off the floor. I feel like their defense has to get a little bit better because I know they haven't been scoring as much. All right, so Malik Monk off the floor, plus 2.1 in point differential, averaging 116.9 points per 100 possessions. Defense, 114.7, giving up 114.7 points per 100 possessions. Yeah, so it hasn't really shown too much here. With Malik Monk on the floor, let's just double check this real quick. So a plus 2.1 with Malik Monk off the floor. -1 with Malik Monk on the floor. That's really interesting. Okay. That makes no sense to me at all. But yeah, that's what the numbers say. All right, so let's get back to it. Just a quick pause there. Van says Knicks giving up size and height in every position besides the center. Jose says Knicks been killing them lately. No Maxi, no bet for Frank going back to that last game. Free Sauce says Mike take Jalen Brunson under 6.5 assists. He's gonna have to go off tonight if he was trying to get a win over Sacramento with the Sabonis increasing his minutes. Okay. Frankie says I actually took 3 player props from 3 games you just talked about based on the last time these teams met up. Luka points, rebounds, and assists over, Bam PRA over, and Jalen Brunson PRA over. Okay, hope you cash him. Frank Van says Knicks got 50 points from Deuce and Dante and struggle wire to wire. They don't have enough. I kind of agree with this, Van. They have been struggling, but I think that they should be able to score today. At least enough to, I don't even know if score. They might just play enough defense to win this game. What else are you guys saying here? Joakim says pace numbers are from last 5 games. When Kings are underdogs, they go crazy. Yeah, that was something that really kind of talked me off. But granted, they don't have Malik Monk in this game, and that's the one thing I think is absolutely has to be taken into consideration. So Kings and Road Dogs, they are one of the more profitable teams this season. They are. I gave you guys the overall numbers. Kings is road dogs this season, 13-7 against the spread. So they cover it 65% of the time. They've actually covered their last 3 games, and five of their last 6. The only cover they didn't have was against the Nuggets. And the Nuggets were in a revenge spot, but they beat the Nuggets, they beat the Clippers, they beat the Timberwolves, they beat the Lakers, and they beat the Magic. This was one of the reasons why I wanted to stay off. But I am kind of leaning more towards the Knicks now. Top of the morning, the light bearer. What else are you guys saying here? Van says Thibodeau complains about the refs 2 straight games. The Jalen Brunson gets them home cooking. Does that lean to an over for the game and over for Brunson? I think so, man. I definitely think so. Brandon says when you fade the Knicks, this is when they take your money. Yeah, I haven't been betting the Knicks. Kings go hard as underdogs on the road, but the Knicks are solid at home as favorites. Really difficult for me to take a side based on these trends. I agree. What up, Pude? Appreciate you for tapping in. Nando says, Chris, how many times this season Knicks lost 3 straight? They've lost 3 times. They've lost 3 straight 3 times. They're 2-1 straight up and against the spread, coming off a 3-game losing streak. Nando, I looked into that. I'm behind in the comments. Let's see if I can catch up real quick. Think Knicks not losing 3 straight. They've already lost 3 straight, Nando. This will be 4 straight. Van says Knicks got 55 from Dante. Oh, I already read these, I think. Livestone says I can't see the Knicks losing though. Knicks fans, I can't see losing. Brunson goes down shooting his points total as long as it's 27.5, 28.5 should be money. Nando says, Chris, what you're saying, Knicks already lost 3 straight and going for 4 straight. Yeah, that's what I meant. After losing 3 straight. Maybe I said it wrong. Van says, bad spot to put your money on the Knicks. If they are down, Thibodeau will pull the plug. They can't afford to lose tonight and again against the Bulls tomorrow. So, Van, I agree with some of the stuff that you were saying. I absolutely disagree with this. Thibodeau will play Jalen Brunson for 48 minutes tonight. And if they go to overtime tonight, he'll play him the whole overtime and play him all tomorrow too. So I definitely disagree with this. Thibodeau will run his players into the ground more than any other coach. What up, Andrew? Markel says, what's up, my guy? I'm on Luka triple-double and Curry 6 threes. That's all I got. NBA is poopy today. PZ likes Dante DiVincenzo over. Joe the Gambler says teams with a 55% win percentage or better after games number 70 who've lost 3 straight are 19-11 against the spread since 2020. That's a nice trend. I didn't even add the win percentage part, Joe. But it sounds like you're leaning Knicks too. Antonio says, how can you take Brunson assists under? Am I just saying don't do it? Yeah, potentially. I couldn't take Brunson assists under because, like I said, he's trying to find his teammates in the Kings. Remember I said the Kings giving up a ton of threes. PJ says, what's up, Chris? Got in late. Very appreciative of all the data. Best in the business. Let's get to the money. Appreciate you for tapping in, PG. Richard says, Chris, need winning picks. What you got? We'll get to the plays. Kings definitely not tanking. Keon Ellis and Davion Mitchell, 2 defensive first players. Ellis has been a jump in minutes. Starting lineup in place of Herter. I agree there. Chad says Tibbs don't pull players. Plus, Hart has played 134,655 straight minutes. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Exactly. Tibbs never pulled the plug. Yeah, he definitely not pulling the plug. And last comment, 1780 Guap says Ellis cleared his rebound prop in 6 of his last 10 games, including in each of his past 4. So yeah, Ellis going down there crashing the board. So I say all that to say that before the show, I talked about, thinking that the total was a tad bit too low, even though it's dropped to 214. I'm gonna stay off the total because, like I said, both teams have major advantages in this spot. Both teams are playing really good transition defense, though. So it could be hard for both teams to get out and run. What I will say is I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Knicks, but I definitely want Josh Hart to be in. I think with no Malik Monk on the road, It's a different type of beast. And you got the Knicks super motivated spot off 3 straight losses. So gave you guys those numbers. Even though the Kings are 13-7 against the spread as road dogs, I think missing Malik Monk could play a role here. So I lean Knicks, didn't bet it. Game that I did bet, Golden State and Houston. I'm on the total in this spot, and I did bet the under. 227.5 is what I gave out last night. It's down to 220. It's still at 227, 226.5 out there as well. I actually woke up. I thought when I woke up this morning, this was going to be down to about 225, 224.5. And surprisingly, it hasn't moved. So you guys can still get the number that I got. Yeah, with it going back, well, actually, it was at 226.5. It's back up to 227. And I'm cool. Like, I don't care where it goes in this one. I think the spot means so much to the total, in my opinion. So you get a Golden State team that's 1 day's rested. It's the 5th straight. They have 5 straight wins. First leg of a back-to-back. They do have the Dallas Mavericks on deck tomorrow in Dallas. And the Golden State Warriors have been doing what they need to do to take care of business as of late. 7-3 straight up, 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. They've won 5 straight and covered 4 of their last 5. Houston, 1 day's rest. They're coming off back-to-back losses against the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. 2 of the better defensive teams in the NBA, I might add. And the offensive numbers have come back down to earth in their last 3 games. This Houston team that was on fire, one of the best offensive teams over the last, since the All-Star break, since Sengun went down, has scored 106 points against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 107 points against the Dallas Mavericks. And even going back the game before, they only scored 101 against the Utah Jazz. I just have a real hard time thinking that they're going to score against the Golden State Warriors. If anybody watched Draymond Green podcast, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see the clip where he said they got a chance to bury. They do have a chance to bury the, essentially knock the Houston Rockets off. So for people who haven't been keeping up with the standings, the Golden State Warriors, we remember Houston was a half a game behind them for the final play-in spot in the Western Conference. Since then, Golden State has won. They've won 5 in a row. Houston losing 2 in a row has now created a 3-game margin. So if Golden State wins this game and Houston loses this game, that's extremely significant, and it pretty much eliminates Houston. They would need to win out, I think, and they would need Golden State to lose out. So with that in mind, I think Houston has their best defensive performance in this game, and Golden State also been winning games with their defense, right? So ramifications of the game being a big one. Houston desperately needing a win in the biggest way, I think, leads to the best defensive performance that they've played. With being three games behind the Houston Rockets. Houston, like I said, only scoring 101, 106, 107 points in their last 3 games. Golden State, 4-1 to the under in their last 4 games. They've held 4 of their last opponents under 101 points. This, to me, screams under. I'm not sure why the total hasn't dropped, but I think both teams come out here. This is a playoff game. Like, essentially, this is the Rockets season. So I'm on the under. I don't care where the total goes. As far as like the side, it's going to be difficult, I think. But if I had to play it, I would still play Golden State. I know Houston, probably, like I said, their season on the line, but I'm not counting out the Golden State Warriors to be able to bury Houston in the spot. I think Houston had a really good run, and I think it's over now. I absolutely think it's over. And keep in mind that I think Kuminga is listed as questionable still, and Houston has everybody that they have been playing. I just literally think that they've ran out of gas, and I trust Golden State defense. The road Warriors, the Golden State Warriors. Remember the numbers as well. Golden State on the road as a favorite. I didn't even write this down because I talked about it the other day when they were playing against San Antonio. But Golden State as road favorites, 16-2 straight up, 13-5 against the spread. They've won, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've won 10 straight wins and covered 9 of them. Also 13-5 to the under in this spot. The only one that's gone over in the last 10 is the Spurs game, which I don't want to talk about that. That should have went under. They allowed the San Antonio Spurs to score 9 points in 1 minute. And the Utah Jazz game, which was the second leg of a back-to-back right before the All-Star break, also went over. So we see the defensive intensity tonight. I like the Rockets team total to go under. That should be what, 226 divided by 2 is 113. Subtract 2, add 2, so 111.5 to 115.5. It should be this total. Yeah, I like the Rockets team total to go under. Didn't bet it though, but I do think this is going to be a defensive type game. And I lean towards the Golden State Warriors. Remember, the Golden State Warriors are 10-0 in the last 10 matchups against the Houston Rockets as well. 6-3-1 against the spread in the last 10. So it's Golden State or nothing for me, understanding the spot for the Rockets. It's a big spot for the Rockets, but I'm cool with fading them in this spot. But I didn't fade them. Just full transparency. I didn't fade the Rockets. I played the under, 227.5. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. PJ says 200 watching. Let's hit the like. DMP says, what up, Chris? Just woke up late for work, but I'm here on the Kings, Philly, and Golden State. Okay. Richard says, no defense, all game over in basketball. Not sure which game you're talking about. How about a cup of Joe says, in late, how do we feel about the Knicks money line? Went over this game. My brother, just go back and listen to it. I don't want to prolong the show by going back. I already talked about this game. And I will chop the whole YouTube video up so you can go back and look at it specifically and don't got to find it. Let's see. 1780 Guap says McBride points should be a look if Hart is out. I would agree. Smoky Steam Best says, feel like the Warriors Kings series last season. I took Dubs -3.5 and definitely agree with the under. I see the Warriors winning with defense, and they have been winning with defense, Smoky Steam Bets. Outside of giving up 113 points to the San Antonio Spurs, they held the Houston Rock, they held the Hornets to 97, the Heat to 92, the Spurs to 102, the Raptors to 105, the Knicks to 99, the Wizards to 112. So they have been winning with their defense. The Jazz on here to 107, 76ers 104, Nets 98, Grizzlies 101. I could keep going, but this Warriors defense on the road has been really, really good. Chad said you got a drug test Malachi Flynn after going for 50 last night. He definitely getting drug tested today. And Peasy says play today. Warriors -3.5. Jared says I'm going to watch this game. This is going to be a popcorn game. Couldn't talk you off. Joe Kim says lean under 227, but the way both teams play, they could ramp up in the pace. I'm not worried about that. LJ, my guy, he says, what up, Chris? You know I'm in the building for this game, and I agree with the total under 226. This will be a playoff-style game. Yeah, you got to pay attention to these post-game interviews, man. Devin Booker actually came out yesterday after he was interviewed last night and said, the playoffs, in their locker room, the playoffs have already started because they're trying to avoid the play-in. Now, granted, I wish they would have did that I wish it would have started the game early so they wouldn't have got smoked by the Oklahoma City Thunder and took my money. And I haven't bet them since, and they haven't lost since. It's been that kind of a season for me. DMP says, I'm hot right now. Don't fade me. Tell me. Make some money, guys. Golden State -4, Sacramento +3, Philly +2, Dallas -11, Nuggets -3.5. Okay. Freestyle says, where's the Warriors whisper, Tasha? Antonio Davis says have to take Houston. Okay. Couldn't talk anybody off like wanting to take Houston. Houston is 8-2 straight up and against the spread in their last 10, but they're running out of gas. It does feel like they kind of running out of gas. That's what I say about Houston. 1780 Guap says still owns the best three-point defense in the NBA and has produced roughly the same results over the past 2 weeks. I think you didn't put who owns that defense, 1780 Guap, but I think you mean Golden State maybe? Brandon Brown says, for the side, I like the Warriors, but I think this could be a good spot for Kuminga points and rebounds. He got to be ruled in first, Brandon. I don't think Kuminga's been ruled in yet. 1780 Guap says Houston still owns the best three-point defense in the NBA that produced over the last. So sounds like 1780 Guap on the opposite side. Maybe he likes Golden State in this spot. I'm sorry, likes Houston in this spot. And like I said, I didn't bet the game, but one thing I'll tell you though, 1780 Guap, is that the Warriors haven't been shooting a ton of threes. They've been shooting a ton of above the break. Long mid-range shots, but it hasn't been a ton of threes. And that was something that was extremely interesting to me when I was looking into their numbers, not even for this game, but just over the last few games. But at this rate, it feels like the Warriors can win with offense. It feels like they can win with defense. When you hold the Mavs to 101 points and the Mavs offense has been so elite over the last 10 games, I don't think it really matters. Yeah, that long mid-range shot, Golden State is 4th in frequency, 20th in accuracy, so they're not shooting it well. And Houston defense falling off a cliff against the three-point line, 1780 guap. Last 2 weeks, Golden State is 4th in above the break three frequency, 14th in percentage, shooting about 37%. Houston, 21st in frequency of an opponent three-point frequency, and 22nd in above the break three accuracy, allowing teams to shoot 38%. This is one of those games, though, where you can kind of throw the numbers out the window. I do think you could definitely throw the numbers out the window in this one. All right, let's see. Estai says, "Morning, Chris. Hope we're on this. Hope we are on the you know who team." Talking about his Miami Heat. Jared says, "Draymond going crazy on Dylan Brooks tonight. Over on the fouls." JFX says, "Warriors trying to get out of the play-in, but the Rockets at home covering the spread is profitable. I don't know about this game." This is one why, like I said, you just kind of throw all the numbers out. And remember, one of the reasons why I stayed off the Rockets as home dogs in their last game against the Dallas Mavericks, which they got smoked in that game, was because they are so strong at home. Rockets are 10-8 straight up at home as a dog, and 12-6 against the spread, 66%. But they got smoked against the Mavs. And like I said, I think it's been a good run for him, but I think it ends here. Draymond and Dylan Brooks getting ejected, Joakim says. 1780 Guap says, and it's worth pointing out that Golden State three-point shooting has been falling off by a full percentage away from the Bay Area. They're doing it with their defense, 1780 Guap. He says, under should be the play. That's what I took. Chad says, would take the under, but pace been so fast for the Rockets with no Sengun. It's been fast, but they haven't been scoring, Chad. That's the difference. They really have not been scoring. And Golden State, I gave you guys the defensive numbers for Golden State, so I'm not going to, beat a dead drum. They've been crushing. Nando likes Houston plus the 4. Ralph says Golden State fighting for their playoff lives. I think so. To think about this, I thought about this as well. Now, granted, Houston is going to come out and really try to win this game. But if you're Golden State, you can kind of exhale a little bit after this game, because essentially you don't have to go as hard if you do win this game. And I guarantee you that's what they're saying to each other in the locker room. It's like the last 5 games have been must-win games for Golden State, and they've won 5 in a row. Remember, they went to Orlando and won. They went to Miami and won. They went even with Draymond getting thrown out, they beat San Antonio. Then they come back home and they beat Dallas as well. So it kind of feels to me like they can exhale a little bit, because granted, when Steph started crying, when Draymond Green got through out the Orlando game, that was all the motivation I needed to, to feel like, okay, Golden State they're definitely taking the season serious, and they do want to see what happened if they can get in the dance. They don't care who they play against in the first round. So they can kind of exhale if they are able to win this game. Tariq says, good morning, Chris. Just hopped on. I like the under here. Glad we're aligned there. Tariq said, Justin says Warriors -3 on his card. Ralph says Klay Thompson loves playing against the Rockets. This is a fact. Klay Thompson goes crazy against the Rockets. Frank says he's going to let it get down to 2.5. What up, Bryant? Haven't seen you in a while. He says going to take the Knicks first half minus the 1.5. And Ralph likes Klay Thompson over his 3.5 point threes, 3.5 made threes. So yeah, I could. It's under for me. That's the bigger play for me. But I like Golden State to be able to get the job done as well. And then last game on the board, I got to play in this one too, and that's the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. This line opened actually opened on FanDuel at -1 in favor of the Denver Nuggets, and is now up to 4. By the time I got to the number last night, it was at 2.5. But I am on the Nuggets in this spot. I did lay the 2.5 with the Denver Nuggets on the road as a road favorite here. This line is up to 4 on DraftKings, 3.5 everywhere else. It looks like total opened at 218.5 when I made the graphic, but it's now up to 220. And I definitely agree with the money coming in on the over here as well. Specifically, a Denver team total to go over. Probably staying away from the Clippers. They're just extremely volatile right now. So let's jump into it. For Denver, you got Jokic and Gordon listed as probable. Looks like both of those guys are going to play. And you got Murray listed as questionable as well. He hasn't played the last few games, but he could potentially return for this game. Denver's coming off 1 day's rest. It's the first road game after 5 straight home games. They've actually won 7 of their last 10, but only covered 2 of their last 6. They're also just 14, 21, and 1 against the spread. So I can, like if people want to take the Clippers, I understand because Denver doesn't typically cover on the road. 14, 21, and 1 against the spread on the road, but they are 21 and 15 straight up. And essentially, you're just asking them to win if you got the spread at 2.5. They're 6-1 straight up since the All-Star break on the road, with the only loss coming to the Mavs when Kyrie hit that 20-foot left-handed hook shot. Other than that, they've won every other game by 3 points or more. For the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard also already been ruled out, which is why I wanted to get to the line early. You get them off 1 day's rest. It's their first game back home after a 4-game road trip. And we know that they're a different team without Kawhi. I took them to beat the Sacramento Kings. They couldn't beat the Kings. I think that they're going to really struggle against the Denver Nuggets. Clippers, 5-5 straight up, just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10. The other thing I thought was interesting for the Clippers, they're 6-16 against the spread since the All-Star break. That's 27.3%, worse than the NBA. The Clippers since the All-Star break, as far as ATS, are worse than the Raptors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Utah Jazz, who are also all at the bottom as far as ATS after the All-Star break. They're also just 16-19 against the spread at home, 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. They're 2-7 and straight up. 2-7 against the spread and straight up at home since the All-Star break, and they failed to win or cover their last 5 at Crypto.com Arena. I looked into it a little bit deeper with Kawhi in and out. They are 5-5 straight up without Kawhi this season, but they're 0-2 straight up and against the spread in their last 2 without him. They lost to the Bucks and lost to the Kings. They've only been home dogs twice this season, are the Clippers. 0-2 straight up and against the spread with a 37-point loss to the Boston Celtics and a 7-point loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. Head-to-head, Denver owns this team. 8-2 straight up, 6-4 against the spread. The Clippers finally beat them for the first time in 9 tries on December the 9th in LA. Beat them 111-102 as a 1.5-point favorite. And I think from a motivation perspective, there was one more thing I wanted to look at. But from a motivation perspective, if you're Denver, you're tied with the Minnesota Timberwolves right now for the best record in the Western Conference. And whoever wins the Western, wins that between the two, you could throw OKC in there too because OKC still got a chance. But whoever wins that wins the division, they win the West, and you're guaranteed home court throughout the playoffs, which is extremely important, especially for Denver and Minnesota. Both of those teams have been really, really good at home as far as winning games straight up. So Denver being tied with Minnesota for the best record. Minnesota owns the tiebreaker, which is why they're currently number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So Denver needs this game. And they still need to win. They still need to win and rack up wins. So I played Denver last night at -2.5 on BetMGM when it was -115, and that's the top spot of the day for me in this game. The other thing I wanted to look at real quick, because if you've been following the NBA for a while, you know that for whatever reason, the Nuggets play well in Los Angeles. Outside of this one game that just happened, I remember last year they beat the Clippers. They beat the Clippers without Jokic and without Murray. So since the 2021 season, the Nuggets in LA playing the Clippers are 4-2 straight up. 3-3 against the spread, winning by an average of 4 points, and 5-0-1 to the under. Don't like that if you like the over, though. Do not like that at all. And one of the reasons why I kind of stayed off the total. Clippers have not been playing much defense at all. They got smoked by the Kings and the Nuggets. We know that they can get hot from 3, which is where the Clippers defense has been very susceptible to giving up a ton of points. So it's Denver in this spot for me. Real quick, I want to look at the Clippers defense. And granted, the Nuggets have been giving up points in the paint. They've been getting crushed in the paint. But Denver, they haven't been shooting the 3-point ball well. 20th in corner 3 frequency, 18th in accuracy over the last 2 weeks, 30th and above the break 3 frequency. So they're not shooting a lot of threes at all from top of the key or from outside the corner, but they are making them. They're 8th in accuracy, and that's where the Clippers have been most vulnerable. They are 20th in opponent above the break three frequency, 29th. So second worst above the break three accuracy, allowing teams to shoot about 43% from the 3-point line at the above the break three. They're also third worst defense against the three in the last 2 weeks, allowing teams to shoot 42% as well. And teams are shooting the 19th most threes against them, even though Denver hasn't been shooting the three. It just feels like Denver will go back to shooting the three eventually. And when they do, they'll make a lot of them. So I like Denver in this spot. Like I said, I kind of like Denver team total to go over, but I'll just play Denver and stay off the total in this one. They really need Jamal Murray back, though. Like transition-wise, they're not running the break at all. And it's one of the reasons they've been, trending towards the under. Outside of that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, where they were coming off back-to-back home losses against Phoenix and against Minnesota, they really have not shot the ball well. That game, they scored 130 points, but they shot 65% from the three-point line. You can't expect the team to shoot 65% from the three-point line. So let's see what you guys are saying in this one. Going back to that last game, Justin says Steph had 13 points in 32 minutes last game. Going to mini ladder Steph to 33.5. I couldn't talk you off that. DMP says, I said before, I'm gonna say it again. Don't fade Steph. Nando says Mavs coming for the Warriors in the next game. Houston +4 is the look here. Nice look here. Okay. So opposite sides there, Nando, even though I didn't bet it, I'm only looking towards Golden State. Jamie says, I had the Warriors winning against Dallas and Houston and fading them tomorrow. I could definitely see that. How about you? How about a couple? Joe says, hit the like button, all 200 of you. It looks like it's about 750 people watching live right now. JFX says, the Harden honeymoon is over. Give me the chicken nuggets on the money line. Joe Kim says Nuggets public favorite here, more than 90% of the money on the Nuggets tonight. I mean, as it should be, right? You just need them to win the game, and I gave you guys the numbers. The Denver Nuggets are 21-15 straight up on the road, so you're literally just needing them to win the game if you get the if you got the -2.5. Joe the Gambler says not fading the Nuggets, but teams with a win percentage of 65% or better after game number 70 who won last two and are laying less than 4 on the road are 16-33 against the spread since 2010. So this is a spot to potentially back the Clippers. I appreciate you sharing that, Joe the Gambler. DMP says no Kawhi, no Clippers. If Jamal Murray plays, Denver rolls. They definitely need him back for sure as well. Ralph says no Kawhi for the Clippers. LJ says, I know you talked Dallas Hawks already, but Luka threes are the play in this game. Luka averaging 5.5 made threes at home last 7 since the All-Star break. Hawks allowed 4th most threes to the point guard position. Antonio Davis, appreciate that, LJ. Antonio Davis says, how about the under? I'm conflicted because the total is so low, but the Clippers defense is so bad. The Clippers are the 27th rated defensive team over the last 2 weeks. 26th in opponent effective field goal percentage. They're forcing the second fewest turnovers. They're the third worst offensive rebound. They're allowing the third most offensive rebounds. And Denver has been the best offensive rebounding team in the league. So that's a major advantage that I didn't share with you guys. But yeah, I'm conflicted on the total. And the Clippers, without Kawhi, I thought they would have showed up in that last game, which is why I let the Clippers, minus the we had Clippers on the money line. I let that bet ride because I thought that the Clippers might, show up in that game. But you just look at the Clippers since the All-Star break, man. This team is just not profitable. And, I don't think that they necessarily going to have, they won't come out and play hard in this game. I think that they will. But they're 11-11 straight up after the All-Star break and 6-16 against the spread. You give up 109 points and you couldn't score against the Kings. 95 points is what they scored. So yeah, I can't back the Clippers here. Yeah, I chose to fade them. Ralph says teams are looking for better seeding going into the playoffs. And like I said, the motivation for the Denver Nuggets is they definitely need to keep winning. As far as the Clippers, they are 2 games above the Dallas Mavericks for the 4th seed. Excuse me. So Dallas could potentially still catch them and get the 4th seed, which gives them home court advantage. And let's just say the Clippers need Kawhi back, just like the Pelicans need Brandon Ingram back, just like Sacramento needs Malik Monk back. These teams getting hurt right now does not bode well for a very, very stacked Western Conference from seed 10 all the way up to seed 4. The Clippers and the Warriors are 4 seed and 10 seed, and they're only separated by 6 games. So yeah, it's a lot still going on. And he says Denver is definitely still winning tonight. Even with the injury report being kind of ugly, they're still the better team. Better team don't always win, but I hope you're on the right side tonight, Andy, because I like them too. Ralph says I took the under on the Nuggets, got it at 220.5. Tariq says he likes the Nuggets as well. Guap says the Clippers are 3-4 in games this season without Kawhi. And if we narrow our scope to include games against teams above 500, their record falls to 1-4. And he also says, I think this game is going to be an under type of game. I took the under as well. Yeah, I kind of like the Nuggets team total to go over, but the full under makes sense. Brandon says, I lean Clips, but just looking for real motivation for the Nuggets. If you remember a few weeks back, Coach Malone's main concern is to go into the playoffs healthy. Yeah, but I bet you they want that number 1 seed too. So I think they could win this game without Jamal Murray as well. Kawhi Leonard means a lot to this team. 1780 Guap says, if we look at the last 10 meetings between the two teams, the total is 7-3 to the under. With 3 straight cashes, it's worth noting that 6 of the last 10 stay under the current 218.5. Yeah, I just mentioned that. I hadn't looked into that, but you are definitely right. I think the trend that I gave you guys was 5-0-1 to the under. Are the Nuggets when they played the Clippers in LA in the last 6 meetings. Brandon says, I know the number 1 seed is at stake, but they care about being healthy, in my opinion. Yeah, but in your opinion, Brandon, do you think that the Nuggets could win this game if Jamal Murray sits, Jokic plays, and Aaron Gordon plays? Because both of those guys are listed as probable, and they haven't missed the last few games. So you're right. The number 1 seed is important, but no Kawhi and no Jamal Murray. Who you taking? The Clippers or you taking the Nuggets? I'm taking the Nuggets. Ralph says MPJ has been putting up a lot of threes. I would agree with that. How about a couple? Joe says I'm going to pass. I never trust Denver on the road, and the Clippers are clipping themselves. That's a fact. They are. Jared says Nuggets susceptible to lose on the road, but damn well not to the Clippers. And I agree with this. Jose likes Denver. Joe the Gambler. Jared says make that 17-33. So Jared likes likes the Nuggets in this spot. Clippers on the do not bet list. Ron G says. Free Sauce says a sneaky look. Aaron Gordon over his 3.5 assists. Definitely probably like that a little bit better if Jamal Murray's ruled out. Ron says I'm on Denver first half. And it says I also took the over in that Mavs and Hawks game. I think the game hit at least 234. Yeah, I talked about that total. And then 1780 Guap says, don't think the Nuggets should rush Murray back. Do like OKC and rest him and look ahead. I agree with this as well, 17 Guap. But I also think that they can win with Jokic. I'll say MPJ needs to knock down some threes, which the Clippers have been bad against the 3-point ball. I said that already. And then you need Reggie Jackson to play well. You need the bench to contribute a little bit because one thing the Clippers defense has been doing is Zubac has been playing really good defense. And not saying that he can stop Jokic, but he can slow him down just a tad bit at times. So you really need the others to contribute. And I think Denver will get that contribution from KCP, from Christian Brown off the bench, from Reggie Jackson. And I can't trust the Clippers defensively either. I know that they'll be a little bit more locked in, especially coming off a loss, but I'm cool with fading them here. So that's the whole slate. That is the whole slate. Tell you guys what I bet. It's here. Golden State, Houston, under the 227.5. Love it, love it, love it. And I haven't loved a lot of totals, but it's for all the reasons that I mentioned. Not going to regurgitate those. And I did get Denver minus 2.5 last night. Yeah, I got Denver minus 2.5 last night. It's up to 4 on DraftKings and Caesars right now. in the total up to 221.5. It does scare me to play the total because Denver on the road, typically an under team, their pace slows down. I think you probably got to wait on the total. The way that it's trending, maybe somebody knows something about Jamal Murray potentially coming back, because if he's going to play, that would definitely lend itself to an over. Denver offense gets a lot better, but without Jamal Murray on the road, I'm not sure how much I trust Denver to be able to, to score a ton of points. I think they'll rely a little bit more on their defense. And the Clippers defense has just been so bad. Giving up 109 points to the Sacramento Kings without Malik Monk is really, really bad. So, I did take Denver minus the 2.5. I say all that to say that, but wait for Jamal Murray. If he's ruled in, of course, his line's probably going to go to 4.5, but maybe even 5. But if he ruled out, this total is going to definitely drop, and the spread could potentially come back down to, maybe 3, maybe 3.5. Either way, I'm cool fading the Clippers in this spot. So that's it for today. I will be back at 5 p.m. Doing a quicker show, of course. And I'm going to have Cal on today. Me and Cal Kerms will be on. He'll be on my show at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll have final, more selections maybe on the card. But those are my 2 favorite looks. Maybe I'll look into some props. I really wanted to make a play in the Dallas and Atlanta game just because I spent so much time on it. But I really don't want to force anything there. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. Also, Philly and Miami. Philly got 3 players on the injury report in the starting lineup. Definitely want to check that out. Josh Hart, lean Knicks minus the 3.5, but didn't get there. If it keeps coming down, maybe even take the Knicks minus the 2.5 if it gets there. I do see a 3 on bookmakers right now, and I do like Golden State. Didn't bet them, but minus the 3.5, minus the 4. I think Golden State puts Houston out of their misery today. So those are the top looks for myself, resources as well for you guys. If you're still watching, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Bet responsibly. The link to all my official plays are in the description of this YouTube video. Best of luck to everybody, and I appreciate you guys for tapping in, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Like I said, be back at 5 p.m. Eastern with my guy Kyle, going over the games yet again. Best of luck. Enjoy your day, man. I'm out.